Good evening, everyone. Engineer Pat 5290 coming to you with October's edition of Model Railroad Mondays. It's great to have you guys on for this month's edition. This past month was awesome. It's reached a lot of views on my YouTube channel, so thank you all for your continued support. We're going to open up again tonight, and what we are going to talk about some model train stuff. We can talk about whatever you'd like to purchase, maybe if you're new to the hobby, would you like to maybe ask a question about what scale you would like to purchase? Maybe some repair tips and maybe even some scenery tips. So please come on in, ask a little questions, and come on down. We're glad to have you. Steve KC's on. Hey, Steve, how's it going, man? So we're just now getting into the heat of things. So come on down, guys. Ask some questions, and let's have a good time tonight. It's definitely going to be a good time, and can't wait to see what you guys have to say. So the stream is open. So go ahead and start asking your questions, and we will go from there. So hope everybody's enjoying their day. I know it's been a nasty one as well, and my prayers go out to all the rail fans who are in Florida dealing with the aftermath of Hurricane Ian. I know that state has a long way to go. Renting Company Productions comes on. Hey, Matt, how's it going, man? Glad to see you're on. Welcome back. Welcome back. Yeah, glad to see some of these guys are coming on down. So come on down, guys. Let's have some fun. Let's definitely have some fun. Come on down, ask some questions, start asking away, and let's have some fun. So, talking about N scale, N scale, HO scale, all gauges, guys. We can even talk about some releases that any of the manufacturers have released. It can be Lionel, Walthers, Athearn, Atlas, whatever. Even some of the older stuff, if you're into the older stuff as well, like Tyco and even AHM, Associated Hobby Manufacturers, or even the old Spectrum line that Bachmann produced for many years. So definitely ask some questions, guys. Come on down and ask some questions. Stephen Casey says, ordered a new Athearn motor to replace some of the old motors on my locomotives. Now, Steve, are mostly your locomotives like Athearn, Atlas, or a little bit of everything? Athearn makes a good motor. The motors that they have in them now, from what I can remember, they have two brass flywheels on there, and they're going back to almost like the Blue Box days. The Blue Box engines had really good motors in them, and I think Athearn has continued that because the reliability of that motor is very, very good. I've never had problems with an Athearn motor. I've never had problems with any motor, which I have been extremely fortunate. Renting Company Productions, fun fact, some of the Amtrak F4s wore up to several different whistles before they were retired. Yes. Yes. Because they had K5 bellies. I think they had a few P5s. Because some of the model railroad manufacturers, they actually will do a really good job of selecting which horn was on that specific locomotive. And I know Amtrak F40s wore a bunch of horns because they had a little bit of everything, but their K5 ballets were spot on the F40s. But I know Walthers has done renditions of them. Cato's done some renditions of them. Even the old Bachmann Spectrum line, and so did Lifelike in N scale and HO. Definitely one of my very favorite passenger locomotives. If it wears Phase 3, I'm happy. Oh, Steve says some of the older ready-to-run locomotives had old motors and they aren't running smooth that I have. Yeah. If a motor's not running smooth, guys, I think it's time to replace the motor. And I think the Athearn motors are pretty simple to replace. Just pop it out, align everything correctly, and then go from there. I think it's really that simple. And cool, I've been documenting the horns worn by all 216 F40s. That is legit. That is legit. So, yeah, come on down, guys. Come on down, ask some questions, and we'll be doing this until about 6:45 this evening. So, if you've got some questions, come on down and get creative with your questions and see what we have to maybe able to help you out. So uh, keep the comments coming. I'm just going to grab me an ice cold beverage real quick, and I will be right back. So keep on the questions, and I will be right back. Okay, folks, I'm back. Okay, I'm looking at some of the comments that were left real quick. Leslie's K3LAs, K5LAs, M5s are a large collection of the P forms. Stephen Casey asked, what road names should scale trains do for their next ES44 run? Well, I would not mind seeing Florida East Coast to do theirs. They've done Norfolk Southern and CSX, and I think they've done Union Pacific, but I would really love to see Florida East Coast. So, and to answer Matt's question, they actually have a lot of names out there. They've got Norfolk Southern, they've got CSX, they I believe have some Union Pacific. They've also done the Tier 4 ET44. And I know they've done Norfolk Southern and even some of the CNs as well. Scale Trains is pretty good. I have yet to even collect a locomotive from them. I hear they are really good. And I also hear their drives are pretty good as well. So, yeah. So keep on asking questions, guys. Come on down. Do not be afraid to ask questions. Pretty good questions so far, guys. Keep them coming, please. Keep them coming. Love to see questions that come in. Ready Company says they should release the FPCGs as the LNG unit sets. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Because FPC has two locomotives and in between is a fuel car. That's one of the most unique setups I have ever seen. I really want them to release one of those in HO scale. Was hoping Steel Trains also does the Iowa interstates. Yes, yes. The black, red, and the yellow. Beautiful paint scheme. FBC is the only road I've seen use GEVOs on LNG. Yeah, yeah. And because they used to be all EMD going to that. They had SD70 M-2s. They sold those off and got GEs. So, CSXG ET44AC. Hey, man, how's it going? CNU special SD40s on LNG as well. Cool. So come on in, guys. Ask your model railroad questions. Have some fun, guys. If you got a problem in working on the trains, and you're not sure about what scale you want to buy, things like that, come on down, guys. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Please do not be afraid to ask questions because we are here to help. As a model railroad collector and operator myself, try to help each other when you can. and it's good. And I like to share a story. One time I was in the train store just minding my business, and somebody asked me a question. I said, "Well, what track are you?" He said, "I'm in." I think the guy was in the HO or something like that, and he had a problem with the curves that were going around his track. And I said, "Well, what locomotives do you have?" And I think it was a big boy or the 611. It was one of the steam engines, and I think I was able to tell him how he can do it because you can redo the curves with a much wider, well, a tighter curve, or excuse me, or you can just put straight tracks to expand the curves that way, and that's what I did with mine, and I was able to make it work. All right, I've got a couple of comments coming in, guys. Should Walthers do more of the NS Heritage units? Yes, and they also do a pretty good rendition of the Ace. Speaking of the Ace, Athearn Genesis does a really good rendition of the Ace. And Reading Company said would love to see the Southern Conrail and Reading B-Line Heritage units from scale trains. All right, CS6G ET44AC comes and says, I'm going to a train show on Sunday, and I don't know what company to buy. Well, what scale are you collecting? Are you collecting HO scale, N scale, O gauge, G gauge? Reason I say that is because all the manufacturers produce different scales. Lionel does O gauge and HO gauge. Well, they do a little bit of HO. Athearn and Atlas do HO and N scale, and Walthers does HO scale. All of these brands are good, but if you really want to go with top of the line quality for HO, some guys may fiddle a little bit, but in my opinion, Athearn Genesis is the way to go. Athearn Genesis has a really nice line. I have several Athearn Genesis locomotives, and that is built to the real deal. I mean, they go back and they put on every detail. Right behind them, scale trains. Scale trains is one of the next ones that I really like. I have not had any experience, but I know Steve KC can actually say that because he has scale trains. Okay, you're into HO. Okay, that narrows it down some. Steve, if you are still on, Steve KC, if you could give a little bit of a type of comment on your experience with scale trains, please, to help out this user, I greatly would appreciate it. Athearn Genesis is good. Atlas is good. Atlas does pretty good sound, but Athearn Genesis and scale trains have really good sound. And RCP agrees with me on this one. Athearn is one of the best for HO. The Ready to Roll line is good. That doesn't have as much detail, but it is very budget friendly. Top of the line is Athearn Genesis. Now, if you just want a basic starter engine, Bachmann is good on that. The next best choice, Walthers train line. I have one Walthers train line, and that is my GP15-1, number 1446. And I will bring that on the camera to let you take a look at this more closely, because this one does not have as much detail. This is more of a toy-like compared to an Athearn Genesis type or even an Atlas Master line that has more detail. And Athearn Genesis doesn't disappoint. Walthers train line doesn't disappoint. Their pulling power is pretty good. I've compared that with an Athearn motor in the diagrams. It's not the same motor, but it's almost identical. But Walthers train line locomotives perform very, very well. But Athearn Genesis is the best you can get. And let me go get a couple of those examples real quick. Keep on the comments, guys. Keep asking questions while I do this, and we will go from there. So let me go grab my Walthers train line locomotive to show this user, and also an Athearn Genesis engine. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Keep the comments coming, guys. Okay, guys, let me get caught up on the comments here real quick. Um, Only scale train locomotives I don't own are the UP turbines and the SDL 39s. Awesome. Has to be DCC and sound. Athearn Genesis. And see right here is my Walthers train line GP15-1. Not a lot of detail on this. It's a lot of it is molded in. This is more of a toy-like engine. Now the next one, Athearn ready to roll. Some molded in details and some separately applied details. This one fortunately has DCC and sound in it. There's not many ready to rolls that have DCC and sound. They've gone back and added the Tsunami 2 sound. This one has the economy sound. Now this one here, my first responders engine from Norfolk Southern, this is an Athearn Genesis model. Has everything custom. This all the details. This is actually the top of the line item for Athearn. Separately applied details, separately applied everything. Some molded in, but a lot of it is separately applied. So when you're buying engines, for some guys like just a basic engine, some want some detail, some guys want it all the way. So if you really want all the way good detail with DCC and sound, Athearn Genesis. So that's just a few examples of some of the differences in between. Now, if you just want a basic engine to run around the Christmas tree or even something to get started with, yeah. So if you want just a basic engine, Walthers Trainline or Bachmann. If you want something in the middle with some detail, Athearn ready to roll. Top of the line, Athearn Genesis. Now, Matt, what are you referring to? Are you referring to like the specs on the engine, or are you talking about like the sound options? Be right back. I'm gonna go put these away. Okay, the real life factory specs. Well, the way the companies do it, they go back to the blueprints of whenever the real run was done. Let's say it was like a 1970s Southern High Hood SD40-2. And they give the specific row number. So the way they look at it is they look at what cabin wore, what paint scheme wore. Well, that's self-explanatory. What Hornet wore, the specifications of like, you know, horn, bell, where everything is located, and where the inside of it, where the conductor and engineer sat. That's one of the differences because on some of them, the engineer was on the other side of the cab, not like it is traditionally, but for some of them, the engineer was on the other side. So another example is like CSX 6393. an ex-RFMP GP38-2. When RFMP bought those, it was non-dynamic, and they made it so it is non-dynamic. So they looked at the orders of RFMP and also Durham and Southern. They had 4 GP38-2s on the Durham and Southern roster. All 4 of them had non-dynamic brakes. So the model railroad manufacturers like Athearn and Atlas and whoever, they made them to fit those needs. So they are exactly identical to the actual blueprints. So, yeah. They have to look at the blueprints very closely to get every single detail right. And that's one of the unique things about these manufacturers is just because they are so particular on every single detail. Every single detail. It's incredible. But, in a sense, you actually have a copy of the real deal on your layout. So you know, if you look at a scale model of something, you know that the manufacturers went back to the blueprints and studied them very closely. They analyzed every detail, and they were able to match it to the blueprints. Now, if it's a rebuild, like Norfolk Southern SD60Es, they go back and have to look at the blueprints that Norfolk Southern has done. For example, they have to look at the cab, they have to look at what was improved, things like that. Because that was actually not an original EMD production. This was a Norfolk Southern rebuild, just like the AC44 C6Ms, for example. They're going back to the blueprints of the Norfolk Southern plans for those, and for the C6Ms, they're going by technically Norfolk Southern GE plans here. But it would really fall under Norfolk Southern because they're the ones doing the rebuilds. So that's some of the differences there because they can look at the prints and they can get pictures of the real deal and study it that way. So something really cool right there. B&B Mary and Randy Bowman come in. Hey guys, what's up? What's up? Glad to see you guys are on. Come on in. Ask some moderator questions, guys. Come on down. Keep on the questions, guys. We're going to be here until 6:45, so we still got about another 57 minutes that we'll be doing this. So continue to ask some questions, guys. Thoughts on the Rapidos C30, the Rapidos, excuse me, C30-7s. I've yet to look at those. I have yet to look at those. What road numbers have they done, Steve? Just real curious if they did Norfolk and Worcester on that one. All right, we've got some comments coming in. Randy Bowman, I hate to say this, but this question relates to model railroads. That question can be asked in my Q&A prompt that is actually already out. So please ask that question on there. Okay, Steve said, think the BN, ATS, NS, and UP. Awesome. CSXG ET44AC says, did you know that Scale Trains did AC44s? I think they did. Do you know for a fact that they did YN2? Um, Steve might be able to know this as well. Did they do YN2 for the AC-44s? I would love for them to do a run of the AC-44 C6Ms and also the CM44s for CSX. I would really love to see those in HO. Okay, guys, I'll look at the comments here in just a second. Richmond Rail fan comes in. What's going on, man? It's my man Bryce. What's going on, brother? And Steve said they did. Yes, CSX YN2 in the first run and YN3C as well. Nice. Yeah, the YN3C has been a real popular scheme right now among the rail fans. Rail fans love that scheme. Rennie Company Productions asks, has any company made NJG and MBTA F40PHs? To my knowledge, no. That would be really good because Cato always does a bunch of the Amtraks, but not a lot of people do MBTA and or NJ Transit. Nice, man. CSX 37 is in one, and that is in their first run. Wow, one of the double digit AC 44s got YN3C. Wow. CSX GET 44AC. I think you just repeated your question there by mistake. We were just talking about that. So stream's going along great, guys. Keep it up. Keep it up. Keep it up. Great to see a lot of these guys aboard this. This is great, guys. Keep this up. Loving to see the turnout. Really loving to see the turnout, guys. Um, so let me get back to the comments here. Should scale trains do the ACE using the MTH tooling? That would be sweet to see because MTH was always famous for their wonderful tooling. Because I will tell you guys this much, between Lionel and MTH for O gauge, Lionel for the win. Because Lionel is what I grew up with, everything. But I'm going to tell you right now, MTH does pretty good with their rolling stock. But their premier line was pretty good when it came to sounds. Now, I would really love to see the tooling get used on an ACE that's produced by scale trains and or Walthers. Now, Richmond Railfan asked, do you think the new CSX Heritage Mac, the OLS engine, will get done at HO anytime soon? I don't know. I just don't know. Just because of the fact, you know, that's what the model manufacturers do. I'm sure they have a comment section where, or an email that you can send ideas, and that could be one of them. F40PHs and F40PH dashes have the Dash 2 electronics, yeah. Because the Amtrak F40s were rebuilt in the early 90s. I think it was the 1994 upgrade when the ditch lights were in effect. And I think Amtrak did a whole bunch of work on those during that time. But the PH-2s were upgraded to 3200 opposed to the F40s 3000. Yes, I knew that. Thank you. Athos should do it. Imagine how nice it would be. It would be great in Genesis if they could do it, which I think they would. I think they would. So Keep on the questions, guys. This is great. Keep it coming, guys. Which manufacturer does better UK model trains, the Bachmann or the Hornby line? I don't own a lot of the foreign line, but but I will tell you this. Hornby is not awfully too talked about much. Excuse me, they're not talked about very often. But Bachmann has done some pretty good stuff. With this side, they've done pretty well, and I've always liked Hornby as well. I mean, they're not awfully talked about anymore because a lot of people forget that Hornby still exists. But it was like there's another manufacturer that was out there for years. Hold on, guys. Let me think about that a minute. One manufacturer that a lot of guys forgot existed was AHM. AHM is technically still in existence, but they were bought by River Rossi. So you're technically seeing AHM a little bit now, but it's not much. Now, has Athearn done a flared SD70 Mac and CSX paint? Yes, they have. And they've even gone back and done the ones, I think the ones that have been rebuilt, I think. I know they have done flared radiators recently, and they look really good. Randy Bowman says Williams. Please be more specific. Thoughts on Athearn doing the 4015, the 70M that ran with 4014? That would be a good one because they did some paint work on that one where they painted the top of the nose green, almost like a Great Northern green. It looks really good. I really wish they would bring that one in HO and have the 4014 with it. Have a lash up there, and you've got it made. I think it would be nice if Athearn released that. Yes, absolutely. So we're going to continue this, guys, for about another 45 minutes. So please continue to ask questions. We're still rocking and rolling. I like this. So keep it going, guys. Come on down. Someone needs to do a run of the HO scale 40Es. Yeah, that's one I don't think has ever been modeled. If it's been modeled, it's been a long time. But that was a really successful Altoona rebuild. So keep asking the questions, guys. Please continue to ask questions. We're rocking and rolling. Wish Atlas would redo their Jeeps. Yes. Walthers should do 40Es at a budget friendly locomotive. Yes. I need some Gs that have ditch lights. Well, are you talking about 38-2s, 40 GB40-2s? Or are you talking more like GP9s and GP20s? Well, Athearn Genesis would be the way to go with it because I have some that have ditch lights in there too. Just my 4-axles in general, yeah. You can get a ditch light kit, and you can actually wire the ditch lights to the, to the board, and be able to alternate them whenever the horn is blasted. I think it's simple to do. One of my other friends can tell you more about that. Quite disappointed how Athearn just isn't doing the high hood 38-2s. Actually, I did notice that. I'm kind of surprised too. I've seen that. I don't know if I have the patience for that. Well, I will tell you this. It is very tedious. A lot of electrical components, a lot of mechanical components. With me, I would find a friend who knew how to do it, or just take it to your local train store and let them do it. I know it's spending money, but sometimes that's the best way to do it, to let somebody else who does it, every day and just get it done. I've had to do that when I'm on the rush sometimes. It's just sometimes you just have to do what you have to do. And I understand that. If it's something simple like changing a coupler out, lubricating it, fixing a small detail, something basic, I can do it. But you know, it's when it comes to really big mechanical stuff, nope, I send it out. So yeah. So continue to ask the questions, guys. We've had a good run of this going on so far. Let's keep it going. Often take my locals. Oh yeah, awesome, awesome, awesome. I know that place. I know that place real well. Tiny Tim's. So scale trains are apt to do AC-44 rebuilds. I wouldn't mind seeing both of them doing it. Athearn could do one on the Genesis line because I know they did one in the Roundhouse version, but I really wish they'd do one in the Athearn Genesis version. RBP Trains, what's going on, man? How's it going? Will you be attending the York Model Train Show in PA this month? Unfortunately, I will not. Unfortunately, I will not. Scale Trains is the GOAT for GEs. Yeah, they do a lot of GE locomotives because they've done the ES44AC, the Tier 4, the AC44, and I know they've done the Dash 9 in both the standard and the wide cab. I really wish they would do some EMD. That's one flaw that I have right now with them. It's just not doing the EMDs. Do you have any train shows coming up in your area? Well, it's going to be this winter, but I think there's one in North Carolina coming up soon too. I have to go back and look. I have been so busy with my job, guys. It's been hard for me to keep up on some of this, but I just follow this stuff when I can. So there might be something coming up. I just have to look. So keep on the questions, guys. This is great. Richmond Railfan, it must be related to model railroads, please. If you want to ask me that question, just send me a private message. Hang on one second, guys. Hang on one second. Steve just asked, which I Love Toy Train films are your favorites? The entire series. I love the entire series. It's mostly Lionel with some of the older railroads like Santa Fe, Conrail, all of them. Love it. Did Scale Trains, I guess, do the B40-8W? I don't think so. I know Atlas has done the renditions of the B40-8, and I know they've done the C40-8 standard and the wide cab. And I forgot Walthers did theirs too. But Atlas is famous for doing the Dash 8s. They did really good renditions of the Dash 8s. And so did Spectrum. Spectrum was Bachmann bought Spectrum, and they did a really good rendition of the C40-8 back in the day. Be right back. I'm going to throw away my trash and also get a little bit more drink. So keep the questions coming, guys. Okay, guys, I'm back here. Um, Steve asked, should Bachmann do the superliners? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Phase 3 would be nice. I would like it if Bachmann did the breakdown cranes and work unit coach for their Thomas line, and maybe George the steamroller for the road vehicles. Yes, I would love to see Bachmann continue to expand that line. Yes, for Superliners, I would love to see phase 3 where it says Amtrak and then Superliner in cursive. I've always loved the phase 3 on the Superliners. Put like 6 of those together with an F40 or a brand new Genesis at the time. You got a contest. They should do heritage coaches and and diners as well. Yes. So yeah. Did any of them make the Amtrak MHCs? What are the MHCs? Hopefully Bachmann ones aren't too expensive. Bachmann is a pretty good friendly model, a friendly budget manufacturer. They have some detail in there, but they're very budget friendly when it comes to the locomotives and cars. Um, they do pretty good, as well as Walthers train line, as mentioned earlier. Walthers main line is pretty good as well. It's almost like an Athlon ready to roll model. Uh, has some details, but it is budget friendly. I know Caden made a few packages for the MHCs, but not entirely sure on Bachmann. I don't think they did. If anybody can confirm that, that would be great. So it's coming up on just about 6:10, so we're going to go for about another 35 minutes. So if you guys have any questions, please continue to ask. We're going to be here till 6:45, so we will continue with this. Keep asking questions, guys. Please continue to ask. We have a lot of good stuff that we can talk about. Talk about some new releases that have come out, or maybe even some of your layout plans. I can also help with layout plans if you'd like. And maybe even something that you may want to add. Only thing you gotta do is just ask, guys. Should Atlas do train sets again? Yeah, I've missed seeing Atlas's train sets. Bachmann makes a good set. Walthers makes a good set. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Train sets as in like a starter set, with locomotive cars, track, and a transformer. Um, Bachmann makes a really good set. My set is a Bachmann, was an actual Bachmann train set, and I've expanded with that over time. Uh, I don't know about actual consoles, but maybe just a locomotive, a few cars, and some track. One of the Bachmann sets that's real popular in both HO and N scale is the Alaska McKinley Explorer. That's a really cool set. And back to the replacement motors. I think replacement motors on Athlon locomotives are easy, but requires patience. Oh yeah, because you got to make sure everything is aligned properly. Because if nothing is aligned properly, the engine will not run as smooth and efficient. So that's just an overall tip for anybody trying to replace a motor. So just it takes a lot of patience and it's very tedious. So it's going to take some patience. So just a little FYI there. Train sets from Hobby Lobby. Hobby Lobby has a few sets. Uh, I know Hobbytown has some sets as well for speaking of hobby chains, but Hobbytown does a pretty good selection of everything. Um, They Lionel sets. They do the thoroughbred set in both HO and N scale. I know Hobbytown has sold the one in HO, but they've done a few of the N scale sets. Hobby Lobby has sold some of the BNSF sets and also the NS Thoroughbred N scale set. Oh, the MEC or material handling cars. Yeah, the box cars that were on the front of the train. Yeah, they used to carry the mail and everything. Yeah, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They look good in Phase 3. So, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't even know if they've ever been produced. They could been. They could have been, but it could have been a much older run. Yes, parcel and express mail. Yes, they were on the long distance trains back in the day, buddy, especially the Southwest Chief. Thoughts on Walthers fire trucks? They actually look pretty good, I have to say. Uh, I really do like their not only their fire trucks but also for their little vehicles. And Athens were up there neck and neck with them. Jeffrey Tatum comes in. Hey man, how's it going? Um, have you ever run your HO scale stuff anywhere other than your own layout? No, I just like to keep everything just on my layout. I've never gone anywhere and run my stuff. I just do it for fun and pleasure. Um, and I enjoy it. Should Bowser do more road railers, tagging back with Steven's comment and also Randy Bowman? I wouldn't mind seeing them. The road railers are not too awfully talked about, and so is the Triple Crown service that Norfolk Southern did years ago. I think there's only two of those trains still active on the Norfolk Southern system, but those are really, really, really cool pieces. They used to be real popular, but it's not as popular anymore. But but going back to Jeffrey's question there, yeah, to Mr. Tatum's question, yeah, I just run my stuff just for pleasure, and I enjoy doing just that. So yeah. So we're going to continue this, guys, for about another 30 minutes. It's coming up 6:15. So, guys, keep on asking your questions. Randy Bones says CSX did the road railer train too. That's the first I've heard of that because I know Norfolk Southern did it. I don't know Amtrak did it. It's not too widely used anymore. Atherton Arcade made the C39s with Triple Crown. Atherton Triple Crown road railers. I know the C39 has been produced by multiple manufacturers. Okay, Scale Trains did the C39-8. Thanks, Steve. I appreciate you staying on top of this, Steve, because I know you do Genesis and also Scale Trains. I remember meeting once at the had seen it. Yeah, I was there. What's going on, man? It took me a second to recognize you, man. What's going on? Local homeboy right here. I love it, guys. I love it, love it, love it. Yes, Chesapeake Bay Western. Yes, I've been there plenty of times. That's one awesome model railroad layout you guys have there. Tell us about some of the plans, man. What do you guys plan on over there? Mom and Son's Trains Rail fans, what's going on, Tammy? Hope you and Ray are doing well. Elisa Elrod comes in. Hey, what's going on? How's it going? Glad to see everybody's up here. Great to see all you guys coming up on the chat tonight. This is great. This is great. Oh yeah, loving this. Loving this. We've been talking a lot about the model trains and also about some of the blueprints that the manufacturers use when they manufacture a locomotive in a scale model. And lots of good stuff has been talked about tonight. So glad all you guys are coming on in. Let's see. Thank you, sir. I was the guy that runs the chassis system EMDs. Yes! You got some nice ones, brother. You got some nice ones, man. I love it, love it, love it. Yes, sir. I love the chassis system scheme. I love the kitty cat logo. I will say, out of the chassis railroads, I prefer Western Maryland just because of, because I've always loved their paint schemes, but I've always loved the chassis logo. big question: have there any chassis EMD releases with strobe lights? I know Genesis has released some chassis EMDs. I know Walthers Mainline did a chassis SD50 that Vintage Road and Rail purchased, and it sounded really good. I don't think with strobe lights, but I think it was just traditional chassis. Do you think the Fantasy Athlete ES44's scheme makes a good heritage in it? Yes, I have seen those before, and they look pretty good. Just wish they would come out in real life. Like the B and C, B and Q scheme, for example, yeah, they would have made really good heritage units if BNSF did them. Seaborn and Chesney use strobe lights in mainline service. Yes, yes, yes. And for some of the railroads, they did the Mars light, like the Southern Pacific did. I think Rio Grande had it, and also some of the old passenger locomotives. And for the ones of you who don't know that, it was the early form of the ditch light. It went around in a figure eight configuration, and that's why I heard that little blast of light like this for like 2 seconds. It would stop and it would go again. That was the early form of the ditch lights. Okay, Ather did do the Chesney GB40-2s with the rooftop strobe lights. Thanks, Jeffrey Tatum. I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate you being on top of it. That was really quick. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Love seeing the chat, guys. Loving to see this because this is what it's all about. We're helping each other understand what's going on and confirming some things. This is great. Keep this going. Ask questions. Keep this going. I love this already. Keep it going. Keep it going. And keep on the questions, guys. I'm just checking a couple of things real quick. Um, just keep on the questions, guys. Love to see what else you guys have in store. Okay, okay. Thoughts on the scale train kit classic lines. I've actually never heard of that. Can you give me a little bit more information on that, Steve? Um, okay. Jeffrey Tatum says I haven't seen any with those. Okay, he was talking with RCP there. Thanks Tatum. I appreciate it, brother. Uh, Glad to see you guys are helping each other out. Well, we know the daylights have. Actually, I think the daylight has the Mars light. I think. Should Rapido bring back the Dash 8 M's? They get BCO despite and realize they're getting retired. Yeah, those were the big barn units, and so was the SD60F. The SD60F was purchased by CN, and the BC Rail had the Dash 8 M's. I'm thinking CN might have had their own run of those. I think it was just a BC Rail thing, but they looked really pretty in the red, white, and blue. I know Amtrak used a rotary beacon on 257 around 1993. Yeah, I actually knew that. And plus, they had the strobe lights on the F40s, and so did the Genesis. Actually, the 800 series Genesis had the strobe lights, and those were taken off and had the ditch lights put on there later on to comply with the FRA requirements. About the kit classes, the line is like simple in a kit like Blue Box. They're easy to assemble. Cool, thanks. I'll look into this one as well. I'll tell you, speaking of Blue Box, the Blue Box kits were good back in the day. They were good back in the day. I sure wish Athearn continued with the Blue Box line, but I understand times just go on. So yeah. So absolutely, guys. This has been great so far. Um, We'll be continuing this for about another 25 minutes here. So if you guys could have any questions, please continue to ask. Please continue to ask. Love to hear about what you guys are working on, your layouts, and also maybe some purchases that you're looking into. Would love to hear about that. So like I said, the chat's open, guys. Just please feel free to ask. And Steve, I'll look at the comment here in just a second. Okay, we do have a few comments in. Athearn Blue Box and Roundhouse kits were awesome. Agreed. Roundhouse was a good brand of trains. Right now, I'm looking into more Amtrak stock and chassis units. Yeah, chassis is always a good one to collect. Love chassis since I was little. Yeah, same here. Chassis was actually a holdings company, and it was the B&O, the C&O, and the Western Maryland formed Chassis in 1972. And the C&O was parent company for the Chassis because Chassis was holdings company, and it was under the C&O name. And for the family line system, it was the Seaboard Coastline and the Louisville and Nashville. Seaboard Coastline was parent company. Mr. Tatum asked you, does anyone know if there are any companies that are producing the Ace Tier 4 yet or other die-cast masters? Now, I don't know that personally, but if somebody in this chat knows about that, please leave a comment for Mr. Tatum. Any help is greatly appreciated. Would love to see it. Chessie was the first to use the K5LA in major service. Yes, sir. Had the first gen K5LAs. The first gen sounds really good. The Chessie system steamer was, I believe, a T1. I think it was a T1. I have a few Chessie rolling stocks in. My cat loves them. Yeah, that's a good one, too. I got a few Chessie pieces myself. It's not much, but I do have a little bit. Amtrak was the developer of the K5LA. They dominantly used the K5LA. And they've continued to use that on the on just about all their engines, I think. In cooperation with Airchime, yes. Yes, 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 yes. But the K5LAs on the F40P engines were loud. I mean, you knew when one of those were coming. I miss hearing those on the F40s. And that's maybe something I'm looking at to a Phase 3 F40PH with the ditch lights, the 1994 upgrade. I've been looking for one of those for a long time. But been trying just to keep my trains active and maybe try to upgrade one to sound. I haven't decided which one I'm going to do yet, but maybe that's something in the near future. Sad chassis burn in Roundhouse. Please be more specific. That comment doesn't make any sense. Chassis system used the big tag K5LAs on all their 177 and 78 ordered locomotives. 77, 78 ordered locomotives. Yeah, that's what mostly of their EMDs. And their EMDs sounded good. Especially for their SD50s when they came out from EMD's LaGrange plant. Oh, man, did those look pretty. They looked pretty. Big tags are incredibly rare to find. Yes. Taglesses are hard to find too. And even round tags are pretty good to find too. Produced for only 2 years. Wow, that was an extremely short run. Thank you for verifying this too. Because you can just imagine that the model railroad companies are going back to that too. Because going back to whatever horn that engine wore. So definitely something pretty cool to think about there. Should Walthers do the K6 Ace with the high headlights? Yeah, that's the way they were ordered, just like Norfolk Southern's. Gray Ghost or Southern Belle? Gray Ghost. Because the Gray Ghost, not too awfully talked about anymore. Everything nowadays is a Southern Belle scheme. I really wish everybody would talk about the Gray Ghost scheme. Because that looked good on the Ace. Not to say the Ace looks good in the Southern Belle, because it does. But the Gray Ghost, not too awfully talked about anymore. Would love to see Gray Ghost come back. I would love to see Gray Ghost come back. It looked good on all their EMDs, but looked really good on the Ace. Looked really good on the Ace. So, yeah. So, continue with the questions, guys. This is a good round of questions are coming in. Favorite chassis or one of them, 6228 War. It's original late 78 Big Town, big bore K5LA up until 1998. Now it wears a P5. Oh my goodness. KCS Wildcats are getting hard to find. Yes, extremely. Extremely. But going back to some of the model stuff, guys, yeah, I would love to see the Gray Ghost engines be modeled again. Because the Gray Ghost scheme, guys, has been fading away in railfan talk. And I hate to see that, but it definitely is something worth to keep the tradition alive. And it's in North Jersey. Oh, cool. So, yeah, keep the model rare questions coming, guys. Keep it coming. So we've actually had a really good run tonight, guys. I'm really impressed with this, and I appreciate all of you guys coming on. It's getting ready to approach 6:30, so we are at our 15-minute warning. So you have 15 minutes remaining on this stream to ask any more questions that you may have for Model Railroad Mondays for October's edition. While we have a little bit of a break in the questions, I'll get to the comments in just a second. Keep them coming again, guys. I'll get to them in a second. Once again, we do this the first Monday of every month. So if you guys have questions, you can ask it on this, on streams like this, for Model Railroad Mondays, that is. And my Q&A prompt is now going to be quarterly, so it's going to run from October to December the 29th. So October 1st, which was Saturday, all the way to December the 29th. So you have a lot of time to ask questions. And you can ask pretty much anything on those in case you happen to miss Model Railroad Mondays in either October, which is right now, November, and December. You still have some time where you can ask questions on there if you happen to miss one. And it's fine if you have to. But it's another option that you can use if you miss this. Sal YT, hey, how's it going, man? Steve says, hopefully KCS 4006 will be done by Walthers. That's a pretty engine. That's a really pretty engine. So, I do have another announcement, but I will save that until about 6:42, 6:43 Eastern. That's going to be really a big announcement. So, I will be saving that for the end of this stream. So, yeah, please stay tuned for that announcement. So, yeah. So, yeah. So as we are entering the final 15 minutes of this stream, please continue to ask any questions that you may have, and hopefully somebody or some guys will be glad to answer them. By the way, I officially did another train video. Oh, awesome, man! Great to hear. Great to hear. I'm going to put my glass in the sink real quick, so please keep the comments coming. I will be right back. Okay. Steve says, yeah, because MTH does the 4006 in HO. That's a good model. MTH nailed that model. They've nailed those. They've nailed a bunch of the aces. I would love to see those to make a return on MTH. I've never been a huge MTH fan, but when they came out with HO scale, I was really surprised. I was really surprised because they were always famous for O gauge. But in this case, with HO in the market, I was really glad they entered it. Lionel re-entered the HO market several years ago. I was glad that Lionel came back after about a 20-year absence because I know they did it in the 70s, throughout some of the 80s, and I think the last one was produced in 1990, and they came back after about a 25-year absence, maybe a little bit longer. But really glad to see Lionel is in the HO market again. Should Atlas fix the headlights on the ATSF B40-8s like low-mounted headlights? Well, let me think. I think those were ordered with the high-mounted headlights, whether as like the Dash 8Ws, both the Dash 8Ws, the B and the C form, the Dash 9 form, and the other EMDs had the some of them had the nose headlights. Some of them actually had the high mounts as well. Going back in the questions, after did the ST40s, Jeffrey Tatum is actually confirming this in the ready to run line as I installed ESU sound with headlight, front, and rear ditch light for one of our members in the CB&W. Oh, awesome. I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you installed sound. That's awesome, man. Have you had any luck installing like Tsunami 2 sound? Just out of curiosity. But the B40-8s, going back to Steve, I agree with. I would love to see those modeled in HO again. Because let me tell you this much. B40-8s look good in the ATSF Blue Bonnet scheme. Okay. And tell you what, T, awesome. So, glad to see that a lot of guys helping each other in this Model Railroad stream, guys. This has been wonderful. I'm really glad to see that all of you guys are teaming together and actually helping each other out, which I think is wonderful. And also, I really applaud Mr. Tatum here of going back and confirming some of this. I appreciate you confirming this, Mr. Tatum. I greatly appreciate it. This really helps me out to learn something new and actually helps out the chat as well. Awesome, awesome, awesomeness. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we are just about approaching our 10-minute mark. So we're approaching 6:35 Eastern time. So continue the questions. We've got another 10 minutes. So continue to keep it coming. I do a lot of sound installs, Pat, and my decoder choice is the Tsunami. Love those decoders. Yes, I agree with you. Tsunami 2 sound is the way to go. If you're looking for an engine that needs sound done and can actually, you want to actually have the real deal sound, in my opinion, Tsunami 2 is the way to go. Tsunami has a really nice line of sound files, and they program it to the exact real deal. I have my 60E, my Conrail 8090, my Southern 4600, that's my GP39X, that all has Tsunami sound. My Atlas GP38-2 for the train and first responders, my NS5642, that has ESU lock sound, which I'm impressed with that one. But nothing beats Tsunami 2 sound, guys. I have a few engines with Tsunami 2 sound. I have some with economy sound. I have 3 engines with economy sound in it. Economy is not bad, but Tsunami is much nicer. I agree with Mr. Tatum on this one. Steve KC says, hopefully the scale trains ES44 will arrive soon, but unsure if it's delayed by Hurricane Ian. Yeah, getting back to that, guys, Hurricane Ian slammed Florida. I will tell you this much. They got really slammed. I know Tampa Bay, I think, was spared. As they were talking about on Sunday Night Football last night, the Bucks had actually arrangements to go to Miami. The Miami Dolphins opened up their facilities to allow them to use it for the game. They evacuated Tampa Bay for about a week, and they came back this past Friday, and they were able to host the game last night. So that was really, that was a blessing. They had a plan. They were ready to go, and they were fortunate to come back to Tampa Bay. But I know Fort Myers, as Randy Bowman was just saying, yeah, Fort Myers is unrecognizable now. Mr. Tatum comes back and says, however, for the G's, ESU absolutely nails their sounds. Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about now. Yep. Now, Mr. Tatum, I'll ask you this question, if it's okay if I asked a question here in the group. What sound would you recommend if somebody wanted to upgrade to sound in an Amtrak Genesis? Um, One of the double digit series, let's say number 13, for example, mechanical bell with ditch lights. Do you recommend ESU lock sound or Tsunami 2? Just would like to know your opinion, please. This is just a thought that came out of my head. As I know for the ESUs, I've heard them in some of the GEs, and they're actually pretty good. Uh, but for EMD, Tsunami nails their sounds 100%. I have always loved Tsunami. But Genesis is really good when it comes to sound. Probably the ESU since it's a GE, okay. Have you ever used, all right, this is Stephen Casey. Have you ever used a soldering iron to fix wire on your locomotives? I love using a soldering iron. I love using it. I do it on a bunch of my track work. Now, for locomotives, I may have done some of that in the past, but it's not been often. But it's cool. I love the sound, the smell of melted solder in a room. That's the way our parents played when we were kids. That's the way I've learned to play too. I love using a soldering iron because the smell of it just brings you back to the old days. American Flyer trains are cool. Yeah. American Flyer, as everyone knows, they went bankrupt in 1968, and Lionel got the rights to produce American Flyer. Lionel American Flyer. The American Flyer name is still in existence now, but is produced under Lionel, and Lionel has used some of the newer Lionel tooling in their S gauge line, with like legacy locomotives, like an O gauge. They're doing the S gauge locomotives with legacy. I have a friend of mine that has an S gauge ES44 AC, the 8099, the Southern Heritage unit, and it sounds really good for legacy and an S gauge locomotive. I was really impressed. So Lionel has taken the newer tooling and literally incorporating this in their locomotives, in the S gauge locos, which I think is cool anyway. But when it comes to O gauge guys, Lionel is top notch. Have to, because of who they are. And Joshua Lionel Cowan made that all possible. So yeah, I love Lionel. So yeah. Steve says, would it be cool if Athens did 86-foot box cars in Ready to Roll or Genesis? I would love to see those. Those would look really pretty in Genesis. And out of all the rolling stocks I have, I have never owned an Athearn Genesis piece of rolling stock. I never have. The cars are really nice. The engines have always appealed on the Athearn Genesis line. Now, for cars, I have bought a little bit of Bowser, Bachmann, Athearn, Atlas, Walthers. I've even done a little bit of Intermountain as well. Or Atlas doing the 64-foot Trinity Reapers in HO. Yes, Atlas has done a good rendition of those. Okay, you should bring some stuff to the CBW sometime for some videos, Pat. Run it with the Wi-Fi throttle app on a smartphone. It would be an honor, sir. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. I do appreciate it. It's just I have to think about that on something because I've got a really busy schedule right now with work and also doing some other things right now. But I will definitely make a drive up there to come see you fellas. It's been a year since I've been over there, and I would love to see you and the boys again. I would love to see it. Thank you very much for the invitation. That is always appreciative. And, of course, Callan passed away in 65. Yeah. And he was 85 years old when he died. He was a smart man. Getting on to Josh Callan for just a minute before we close it out. We're at our 4-minute mark. Joshua Lionel Callan was an awesome pioneer. In my opinion, he was a smart man who tinkered with something. He could fix it, and he made it into one of the best-known model train manufacturers that's in this country now, and that's Lionel. They have produced everything famous from the 145 Gateman to the to the 445 switch tower, the 313 bascule bridge, the 264 operating forklift. He designed it, and he was actually a fan of his own product. And I wish there were so many other people right now that could be a fan of their own product. The number 38 water tower, that accessory was designed by Josh Cowan himself. He was the one that added the water pump to add the realism of the water draining from the tank and going into a steam locomotive. And it was really awesome to see that. And Josh Malino Cowan was so smart. I admire him for everything he did and for what he stood for and what Lionel has stood for. He also did the famous New York Hudson, the New York Central's Hudson, the 5344, and Randy Bowman mentioned this. That was actually a first real scale model because he studied the blueprints. He made sure that every single detail was on that locomotive before he put it into the production line, and the cost back then was $75. And for scale model back then, that was a good price. And that was one of Lionel's best-selling engines. And the Hudson continues to be produced in various forms, like the 611, the Norfolk and Western 746. That was a fictional locomotive, but the 611 is more collectible. So a few examples of that. And thoughts if Athens Roundhouse did the 38-2s and high hoods? Yes, I would love to see that. So guys, it is 6:43. I will go ahead and end the questions here because I do have a major announcement. As you all saw in the newsletter that just came out on Saturday, I recently did a poll about, a possible new series called 21st Century Railfan Fun. After a poll, it has been considered to be done once a week, which I'm very glad to say this right now. So that will be 2 live streams we do. Model Railroad Mondays like we're doing here once a month, and doing the Railfans once a week. So that's definitely something you definitely want to look forward to. Jeff, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you soon. Steve, thank you, guys. Thank you so much. I want to thank you and Mr. Tatum for confirming a bunch of stuff tonight, and also Mr. Redding Company Productions for doing that. Thank you guys so much. And real quick, that's going to be done once a week for the 21st Century Railfan Fun. I do not know a set day and time when that will be taking place. I will be doing some figuring up on that. So that's what we will be doing from that. So fantastic stream, Pat. Thank you so much, Mr. RCP, for the wonderful comments. I greatly appreciate it. I appreciate everybody for tuning in on these series because let me tell you something. These have been a real joy to actually do and have some fun with everybody. And also to be able to help somebody out, which always makes me feel good at the end of the day, where you take time to do a stream like this and somebody has a question and you're actually able to help them. Not so much in person in this case, but also just virtually be able to talk things through. And some people are able to really say thank you for that. So this has been a real pleasure. Let me take a look at what our next first Monday will be in November. Let me take a look real quick. The next one will be November 7th, and the November the 6th is when daylight savings time will end. So the clocks will go back an hour. So we'll probably do about the same time, maybe about a 5 o'clock p.m. start, 5:30 start the next time. But we got to cross that bridge when we get there. So that's going to be another good month. And the one in December will be December 5th, but those dates will be confirmed much later. So I'm really glad that everybody was able to tune in with this. Thank you guys so much for everything. And just remember, guys, smash the like button, drop a comment down below. Please hit that subscribe button. And the channel's getting ready to get active again with some productions that I have actually held just because I have been so busy. I'm finally able to get back in the studio a little bit. So I'm going to try to get some stuff out. Tap the bell because a lot of stuff's getting ready to happen. So you want to know when things are coming out. You want to know when live streams are coming and premieres. So you have to definitely tune in for that. So please remember to tap the bell. And Q&A's now quarterly. That has been out since Saturday. So definitely take a look at that. It's actually about 1 or 2 videos down from this one. 2 or 3 videos down. So definitely take a look at that, guys. So anyway, guys, that wraps up for Model Railroad Mondays October edition. It's great to see you all up here. Glad everybody had some fun, and I will see you guys next month with this. And 21st Century Railfan Fun is in the process of getting ready to go, so be on the lookout for that. And I'll actually be putting an announcement in the community section. So definitely be on the lookout for that, guys. So anyway, guys, I consider this a wrap. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you down the main line. Thank you all so much, and I wish you clear signals ahead.